Hey. Okay, so this episode originally aired back in the fall of 2024, so about a year ago. And when I was thinking about different topics for today's episode, I felt like right now in the fall of 2025, when you're planning your 2026 assortments, it's more relevant than ever. And it's something that I think is so important and really foundational to retail product-based businesses with how unpredictable the economy has been. And I mean, I think so many of us are cautious and just feeling like we want to be tight with our inventory and cognizant of our budgets. Big risks feel really big, right? Bigger than ever. And I've been having a lot of conversations with clients and just reflecting on my time as a corporate retail buyer and also in my own business and just reflecting on what that used to be like on the day to day in corporate when this was just something that we continuously were working on. And in these really unpredictable times, it was more important than ever. And as I talk to clients about this, I always think about how I'd be handling it in my own business. So I'm kind of always double checking and making sure I'm giving the best advice. So I felt like this conversation was important to be brought back kind of to the surface. So right now, I think it's really critical that we find creative ways to test new product ideas and spark that creative juice in your business, especially as a creative person that I am sure you are. I think most people listening to this are very creative people and you're all product people, right? So we're creative at heart. So you want to be able to test new ideas and be able to let your creative juices flow. But in these times where it feels like everything is high risk, you can really suppress that creativity in your business. So we got to find ways to be able to test new ideas and keep your business moving forward, because you don't want to just have the same stale collection time and time again. That's not the answer. So how can you bring in new ideas to find that next bestseller without blowing up your budget or taking on unnecessary financial risk? A lot of times I see people have way too many SKUs or way too much depth behind them. And that's what happens whenever you just have all these creative ideas flowing and you just let them come to life in your assortment. So that's what this episode really digs into. So I talk about how to test your next bestseller without going all in too soon, without having it be this big risk. Okay. So whether you're trying to replace either a downtrending product in your business, or you just feel like things are feeling flat and you know that your retailers need something more or your customers need something more from you, and you need to kind of either reignite those sales or just tap into some new, fresh ideas in your business, this strategy is one that time and time again works with not only my clients, but also in corporate retail, right? So I think you're going to really want to implement this as we not only head into holiday. You might be able to get to fast track some ideas in a small way, or just as you're thinking about upcoming seasons that you're designing and developing into or buying into for early 2026. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this replay. Let's hop into it. Hey friend, quick question for you. Are you feeling stuck with how to get your brand to stand out on Faire? I'm asking you because as a buyer myself, I can tell you that there are just so many brands out there vying for the attention of these buyers, but I know that your brand has something so special and it needs to be seen. I put together a private podcast for you that goes deeper into what buyers are really looking for on the Faire platform and how you can stand out from the crowd to grow your wholesale business and really land those dream buyers. So if this resonates with you, head to the link in the show notes for instant access. Hey, product friends, welcome back to the Buyerside Chat. I am really excited to talk about this topic today because it's one of those kind of mysterious things that you're always trying to capture, right? A bestseller. How do you get a bestseller? We all want bestsellers, and you probably hear people talking about bestsellers, and that can really mean different things for different businesses. Typically, that's a product that is always at the top of your sales reports, that your buyers are always buying wholesale from you, that your customers are always buying direct from you. Sometimes they're the same product, sometimes they're not. If you sell wholesale, it's important to look at your different channels and who's buying what and just kind of digging into that information. But that's a whole separate conversation. We're going to talk today about really how to test and identify new bestsellers in your business without bringing on a lot of risk. So it's something that I think is so fun as a buyer on that buying side. We were always on the hunt for the next bestseller. So whether you have your own shop, whether you're your own brand and you're looking to design into new bestsellers for your own brand, or you're your own brand and you sell other products from other stores, or other brands, I should say, you're looking for bestsellers in your assortment. Or if you're just like me and you have an e-commerce shop or you have a brick and mortar store and you really identify as shop owner or buyer, you'll really get this concept. But you don't just roll out of bed and find a bestseller. It takes trial and error. Sometimes actually you do just stumble upon a bestseller and you're surprised by something. But oftentimes you really have to understand your business, what your customers are looking for, what's trending, to be able to start testing out things and see what can become a bestseller. What happens a lot of times with clients that I'm working with one-on-one, or even just things that I saw in my corporate career, we'd really get excited about a product and go after it. And when I say go after it, I mean buy a lot of depth, buy a lot of units and really invest in it and take a stand on it without having a lot of information to back it up to say that will be a bestseller. Or we say, okay, this product has been a bestseller for years and it's kind of downtrending, but let's just assume that if we do more marketing, better marketing, style it differently, it's going to suddenly be better than it was last year. And we put too much pressure, meaning too much sales pressure on a certain product. That never works, right? Like 9 times out of 10, that's not going to work. You can't force something, and you don't want to go after something with too much inventory investment and then be sitting on it for forever. I think if any of you have a shop or buying inventory, we've all been there. We've all made those mistakes. Like, we don't have crystal balls. I wish that we did, but we don't. And that's also kind of the fun part of this business. Fun has its pros and cons. Sometimes isn't so fun, but the fun thing is to test things out, find those little nuggets, those little moments on your sales reports where you're like, okay, there is something here. Now I can go after it because there is data to prove it. So I want to talk about how to figure out how something could be a bestseller and then how to approach it. I've been really fortunate this year to do some work with the Las Vegas market, and part of that educational series I've done with them is around identifying your bestsellers. And those resources, I should say, were really geared towards buyers that have brick and mortar stores that are going to markets, sourcing products. But this concept applies to all of us. It doesn't matter if you are a designer of your own brand or you're a buyer for your own shop. We're all doing the same thing. Right? At the end of the day, we're all building assortments for our customer. Some of us are then selling it wholesale. Some of us are merchandising it in a store. It's just how you're actually selling it that's really different. And for some of us, there is that work of the design side. And then for others, it's really just the buying side. But all of us are buying to some degree. Even if you don't identify yourself as a buyer, you have to have these buyer foundational skills to really optimize your business and make it more profitable. So I wanted to bring that whole conversation with Las Vegas market to the podcast because I feel like it's a really important topic that I think you'll find interesting, or at least I find it interesting. And so thanks for coming on this ride and listening to the episode. So what I think is interesting about bestsellers is that it's this intersection between data and opportunities in your business. So like what your numbers are actually telling you, not what you think you want to see, but what the numbers actually tell you. And also just from there, opportunities in your business that you can maybe invest a little bit more in, design more into, bring more of that type of product in. So those are like true opportunities in your business, or just white space opportunities that you've recognized. So the intersection between data and opportunities, and then trends and your gut instinct. Trends can mean a couple different things. There's the obvious, like what is trending out there, print and pattern, color, silhouette, finishes, fragrances, all the things, right? That's like a true trend, or that could be a social media trend happening on TikTok or whatever like the new fad is, right? But there's also trends in your business, meaning certain products or types of products or categories or colors or finishes or fragrances, fill in the blank, right? They trend up or they trend down. And sometimes things surprise you and start to pop up on your selling report. And you're like, oh, there's some opportunity here because there's a trend up or a trend down in my business. So trend, like I said, can mean a couple different things mixed with your gut instinct. The gut instinct in particular really applies to trends that are happening outside your business, meaning like those social media trends or just like traditional fashion trends, gifting trends, all those things. Your gut instinct, meaning you know your customer, you know your business the best out of anybody because you live and breathe it day in and day out. So it's that gut instinct of recognizing, hey, this is an opportunity that I think will connect with my customer, or this is an opportunity that, or not an opportunity, I should say, this is a trend that will not connect with my customer. It doesn't matter that everybody's talking about, well, not so much now. I feel like it's fading out, but let's use the eras, for example. I'm in my blank era, right? Like that was so overused, right? But like that was amazing for certain businesses and maybe not great for other businesses. Like other customers just wouldn't connect with that phrase or verbiage. You have to know how to filter things out, right? So finding your next bestseller is the in between where those things cross over. So the hard facts, the data, the numbers, the opportunities in your business mixed with the trends and your gut instinct, those things combined make a bestseller, right? Because you're looking at the true facts. And you're also saying, I know my business best. And these are the things that I think are going to drive it forward. So the first step in all of this is really just defining, I guess I would say, those needle mover product opportunities in your business. So if you're buying now for holiday, or if you're already moving on to spring, Q1 of 2025, wherever you're at in your process, if you're designing or buying, whatever it may be, that next collection that you're working on, I want you to really think about what product opportunities are in your business right now. So what is trending in your business year to date? You can go the last 12 months. You could go the last 6 months. Really isolate a period in time where you have good sales data. So like if your sales are really down right now, that could be from a myriad of factors and it might be an anomaly. But so then you might want to expand and look a little further past so that you have a mix of your business doing well and maybe if it's struggling, right? So you want to just look at a time period that really makes sense and gives you a true picture to your business trends and really look at what's working and what's not working. Are there product categories, product attributes that are working now from those business trends that can inform your buying and your design decisions for the upcoming season? It's so easy to say, okay, well, I just came off of, let's just make up a time period. I just came off of spring and now I have to start designing holiday. They have nothing in common. Well, they actually do have things in common. So let's say, I'm going to make up an example here, like a really feminine floral. Okay, floral for spring, groundbreaking, right? But let's say a really feminine, like watercolor type floral pattern crushed it for you in spring. And you typically don't sell watercolor type florals. They're typically a little more graphic, right? And you're noticing that that was trending more than it typically did. How can you apply something with that kind of hand in your business or in your collection or your assortment for holiday? It doesn't have to be a spring floral, but is there that watercolor? Is there that light airiness to a print or pattern that might resonate and translate to holiday? That would tell you that something like that would resonate with your customer. Or it could be something a little more specific. I made up a random example there. Florals maybe wasn't the best example, but I think you get what I'm saying. What is working or has been working in your business, not just a product specific, but truly attributes, types of things in your business that you could apply to that future season. That's where the real kind of magic or secret sauce happens, because it's something that your customer is already telling you that they want more of. And so the best thing you can do is give them more of it in a future season, because you're going to really surprise and delight them when you bring something in for a future season that is a version of something that they loved already, because it's still on their mind, right? Unless it's something that's like really seasonal and doesn't make any sense. Of course, yeah, then you might want to reevaluate that. But oftentimes there are things happening in your business that you can like sink your teeth into and make it a bigger idea without reinventing the wheel. So that is truly, in my experience, where I have found the best opportunities of tapping into something that's already working. I bought so much for apparel. Like, I could go into a million different examples of tones of colorways that worked, silhouettes, maybe just adjusting them to be more seasonally appropriate and adjusting the fabric again to be more seasonally appropriate. And boom, you have an instant bestseller, and it's just a literal version of something that worked in spring. Or straight up taking the exact same product and just changing the fabrication to be seasonally appropriate, and obviously the color palette and everything. Just the same product, just tweaking it. So you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Okay. And then just really thinking about, okay, take a full scope view of what's trending, like pull yourself up, bird's eye view out of the weeds of your business, and just spend a little time getting inspired, doing some trend research. We don't often force ourselves to do that. That is a really good thing to do. And that is not saying look at your competitors. I'm saying look at their runways. Do some social media digging. Look at the influencers. Look at the audience that connects with your brand the most, demographic, I should say, and see what's going on out there. What's trending from print and pattern? What's trending in color? What's happening on the runways? What foods are trending? What is it that's trending on Pinterest? And think creatively about how it could apply to your own assortment, because then you're going to be a little ahead of the curve. Okay. So again, needle moving product opportunities and also trends that are out there that could apply to your business and would resonate with your ideal customer or buyer. Okay. So that's that pre-work whenever you're trying to identify what could work in your business. Now there's the whole piece. I'm going to skip over the piece of sourcing that product or designing that product, right? I'm going to skip through that and I'm going to go, let's assume you found it. Okay. You found a couple things and you're like, this is a new product category that I want to test because I found that I have white space opportunity in this category, fill in the blank of whatever that may be. You don't carry that type of product right now, but it would work in your store or it would work in your collection to be complementary, not taking away from and not necessarily replacing something, but it would be complementary. Or I need a direct replacement to replace the volume of my bestseller because it's downtrending. And I need to keep buying into that or designing into that until I found the replacement. So you're looking for something that's like it and you found the item or you designed the item that you think it's going to be. How do you execute it with the lowest possible risk? The lowest possible risk is always the goal. And what that really comes down to is how much freaking money are you investing in this new idea? Right? And what's that risk look like for you? So the first thing is, if you're going after a category, a brand new category, it's really important to bring in a little mini collection. That could be category. It could be if you're a stationery designer, let's say, that could be a whole new print type or something that just looks a little bit different from what you traditionally bring in. Okay. So create a little mini collection with a couple of SKUs behind it so that your product doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Sometimes I find that when you're testing out, you have to have some things that go like head to head. And also, if you don't have enough of a collection, it's just like one little cute item that doesn't really get seen or it's overlooked, I should say. So you want to bring in a little mini collection. So that could be like a little pocket of 3 products, and you merchandise them together in your store or on your website. You photograph them together. They live together as a little mini collection. Okay. The second thing is, regardless of whether or not you're bringing in 1, 2, 3 products, I wouldn't really go more than 3, maybe 5, depending on what the product category is and the price point is. You want to buy minimum inventory. Okay. Minimum inventory. Also, okay, let me actually tie these in together. It's buying minimum inventory and also taking the marketing risk and putting it front and center. So if you have a brick and mortar store, this would mean you put a very small buy on the front table for a short window of time. It feels uncomfortable because it's not your biggest investment, but you want to put it in a place where a bestseller would live. Okay, so that's a physical brick and mortar store. Same thing would apply to your website. You typically, let's say for holiday, you typically on your front homepage image would not put your smallest buy there. That would be crazy, not the smartest thing to do. But if you want to test for a new bestseller, you want to do that. You want to put it in that place where the customer is like, oh, I need this because it's what they're telling me I need. Okay. So you want to think about it in terms of how you're showing it on the place where you're selling it, in addition to your social media execution. Okay. So again, going back to the minimum inventory investment, that could be truly just minimums. That could be just enough to get you through, like, let's say 3 to 4 weeks of selling. So you're on average, how many units do you sell per week of a new item? Just buy that amount just to kind of cover you. So there's no risk at the end of the season, or minimal risk, right? Then you want to basically plan a mini marketing campaign around it. So it's marketing to it on your social, it's placing it front and center on your website, in your store, making it really visible to your customer so that for about 2 weeks, you are consistently talking about this thing. Because that gives you enough time for your customer to see it, absorb it, and decide to buy it. And usually you'll know in that time period, depending on how much traffic you get, how many customers you have. If you are a brand new business, this is going to be harder for you. You might need something to live, quote unquote, live at full price for an entire floor set. You need more selling time because you have less customers coming in. That's normal, right? This is more of a strategy if you are farther along in business, you're scaling, you have a lot of customers, you're getting daily orders on your e-commerce site, you have a ton of foot traffic coming in. You want to test something for 1 to 2 weeks, probably more like 2 weeks, to get a true read. Okay. And that also is enough time for your marketing to resonate and convert. So obviously, like email, social media, posting, reels, stories, all the things, and having it front and center so that a customer feels like it's an important thing, even if it's not a huge investment. Now, if you're doing this during a really important time period in your business, like if this is a holiday test and you're testing out a new bestseller, you want to reduce your buy for your actual best-selling product by a little bit to account for this. Because in theory, what's going to happen, if it is truly a head-to-head product, what's going to probably happen is that the sales are going to come down on your best-selling product during that time period, right? Because the customer is going to be choosing between the two. And so that's okay for that to happen. So you just want to account for that in your inventory. So read those sales for about 2 weeks or so. And then what you'd like to do, or I would like to see you do, I should say, is establish what we like to call a read and react window for reorders. A read and react window, read and react strategy. So this is if you want to get back in stock in that product in season to sell more of it in season. You want to work with your suppliers. You want to work with the brands up front. Let them know what you're doing so that they're very clear on your strategy, and say, hey, when do I have to place a reorder to get it back in stock by X date? My estimated units would be approximately X. Tell them that amount, get that date, put it on your calendar so that you know the drop dead date for placing a reorder to get back in stock in that product in season. If you don't want to mess around with trying to get back in stock in season, what you want to do is you want to take the information, you want to take the learnings from that test and apply it to future seasons. So just like I was saying with, okay, what's working in your business right now that could translate to a new bestseller for you? Same thing would apply. Okay, this was a really great test for me in holiday. I can't get back into it in holiday, or I don't have the budget for it. That's okay. What can I do to affect spring to bring in a product that's like that would do well for that time period? Because you don't want to wait all the way until the following holiday season to bring that product in again. You can and you should bring that same product in an entire year, but you want to capitalize on the learnings from that product right away and impact your upcoming season with that information. So, long story short, you want to look at what's working in your business right now. You want to look at what's trending outside your business, tap into that gut instinct and say, here are the types of products that I need to be looking at designing into or buying into that are either white space opportunities or products that can replace a bestseller that's starting to downtrend in my business. And then you want to buy into it minimally, but step into it from a marketing perspective and a merchandising perspective in a big way. Small investment, big marketing power, right? To really give it an opportunity to shine. And then from there, either have a read and react strategy to get back in stock in season, to make sales and really maximize that time period, or start working on how that could apply to your upcoming next season's collection, so that you can capitalize on those learnings sooner than later and not have to wait. It's a strategy that has worked time and time again. Every retailer that I've bought for, I've tested this out in my own business, so I know that it works. I have seen it work time and time again, and it's the best way to really maximize your investment, because we know that every single dollar we invest in our business needs to turn a profit or tell us something, right? Turn a profit or tell us something. That is always the goal whenever you're investing in your business. You want to have learnings and you want to make money. It's even better whenever they do both of those things, right? So I hope that you found this helpful. I love talking about bestsellers. So if you have any questions, you can always find me on Instagram at Kristen Fisher Coaching. And if you found this episode to be helpful or any past episodes, your reviews mean the absolute world to me. I absolutely love seeing a review pop up, and even more whenever you send me a DM and you tell me something about the episode that you like. So I'm an open book. I love chatting. So come find me. Let me know if you learned anything new from this episode and how you're applying this to your own business. Before you go, if you've been on Faire, but you're struggling to stand out or land consistent orders, you're not alone. I see and I hear this all the time. Amazing brands are getting lost in the crowd because they just don't know how to optimize their presence and get noticed. That's exactly why I'm hosting this brand new free live workshop, the Faire Success Blueprint, Stand Out and Sell More on Faire. In this workshop, I'm going to break down the biggest mistakes brands make on Faire, what buyers like myself are actually looking for, and the proven strategies to get your products noticed and sold. And honestly, this is not just theory. This is real, actionable strategies that have helped countless brands grow their wholesale business, both on and off the Faire platform. And the best part is you're going to walk away with a very clear understanding and a blueprint to start seeing results right away. There's going to be bonuses and a surprise giveaway for those that attend live. It's happening on April 28th. So you definitely don't want to miss this. So head to KristenFisherCoaching.com/Faire Blueprint, or just click the link in the show notes below and grab your spot. I'll see you there. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. If you are loving the show, I would be so beyond grateful if you would rate and review the podcast and share it with one of your biz besties to help spread the word. I hope that you absolutely crush your sales this week. I'll be back to chat with you next Monday.